out. No one questions why Paul is standing out. We're saving the kids. We're stopping the boats. We're closing the borders. Look how mad we've all gone. This is real women.
England may be facing its biggest racist issue/religious war as native inhabitants of the country are pushing against the Muslims, forcing them out in an extremely violent manner. You might think it's just an ordinary street fight that should die out soon with minimal police involvement. Allow me to burst your bubble. Even the police are scared. Authorities are running, not towards the clash, but away from it. It is no longer a mere issue. Even the Prime Minister has gotten involved. But what really sparked this religious clash? Why the hate all of a sudden? And what measure is the government taking to keep the matter under control, especially with police turning away from the scene? Let's answer these. I should probably begin with the fact that this whole hate issue didn't start all of a sudden. This isn't the first time England has experienced a clash between Muslims and British Christians. In 2017, concerns arose both online and in person regarding the mistreatment of Muslims in the country. This came right after a man, Darren Osborne, 47, drove a van right through a group of Muslims who had just finished their Ramadan prayers.
Someone just come with a big van and run over a whole lot of people. It's a big van, he just run over everyone when I was calling you on the ambulance. He just turned and run over everyone.
Darren's actions killed 51-year-old Makran Ali and left a couple of others injured. Before he could escape, some members of the Islamic community caught up with him and subdued him, patiently waiting for the police to arrive while they violently questioned him about his reasons for the attack. Sadly, they got nothing out of him, and the police did their part. It was only later during the investigation and trial that Darren revealed his hatred for the Islamic religion, quoting words from Stephen Yaxley Lennon, also known as Tommy Robinson, who is a vocal critic of Islamism and the presence of Muslims in England. Darren told the police and the courthouse that he was overwhelmed and really wanted to take out his anger on Muslims, even though he had never been directly harmed by them. That's a truly bizarre event, if you ask me.
We are today fighting for our own moral and family ethos because that is under threat.
There is also the Birmingham school protests of 2019, where Muslim parents came out to protest against the inclusion of LGBTQ+ education in the school's curriculum. Allow me to point out that the world is only still trying to get used to the idea of homosexuality, surgical change and re-identification of gender, and the idea of same-sex marriage. And now people want them added into the school's syllabus so 5-year-olds can learn about them.
Would suggest a transgender lifestyle, a homosexual lifestyle is morally acceptable. Now we understand it's absolutely legal to be homosexual or LGBT. We respect that. We champion the rights of LGBT people, but our children are our children.
The protest spread to other schools as concerns arose. Many of these schools had already started the program. While the protest began peacefully, it soon turned sour as far-right extremists exploited the situation to attack the protesters and clashed with the police. The far right, a group of neo-Nazis that you'll hear about many more times in this video, consists of dreaded and violent individuals with no pure intentions other than to disrupt religious, ethnic, and political campaigns and societies in honor of Adolf Hitler. All across the UK, they have been declared a terrorist group, taking on various forms over the years, including the British National Party, the British Defence League, National Front, and Combat 18. The far right is led by Stephen Yaxley Lennon, also known as Tommy Robinson. Don't worry, we'll come back to him. Anyway, the Muslim protesters lost the battle, as the UK government stood firm on allowing schools to teach LGBTQ+ education to young students, despite concerns about exposing children to sexual details, the contradiction to Islamic beliefs and values, and the promotion of same-sex marriage. The far right had the upper hand once again, and the Muslims had to succumb to LGBTQ+ education. Now back to the clashes between Muslims and neo-Nazis. There have been several issues that prompted the riots. However, something much more troubling occurred recently: the Southport shooting of 2024.
Looking at this woman, she looked in a really bad way, and I just knew it was a really bad situation. So Me and Martin start walking towards the place where she's pointed at.
And how far is she from the place where she's pointing at?
She's at the top of the road leaning against the car. There was more people down the road, but at this stage,
On July 29, 2024, a mass stabbing incident occurred at a Taylor Swift-themed holiday dance event in Southport, Merseyside, leaving a total of 10 victims, 2 teachers and 8 young girls. Before the attacker could escape, Merseyside police arrived at the scene and apprehended him. Emergency services quickly arrived at the scene, including armed response vehicles, the fire service, 13 ambulances and 3 air ambulances. Unfortunately, 2 young girls had died on the scene, and 1 died a day later in the hospital. Why did this cause a clash between the Muslims and England Christians? Well, the killer, Axel Rudakubana, was a Muslim. Axel was born in Cardiff, in the UK, but by Rwandan parents. The far-right members wasted no time in reacting over Axel's crime, turning it into a hate crime. They started a massive scheme of vandalism, setting cars, bikes, and other properties on fire in their protest against Islamism. They didn't stop there. The mob went further to raid, attack, and destroy the Southport Islamic Society mosque. They came out in numbers, beating up Muslims that came around, and fighting off police barriers in their way. Now you see why the police were running for their lives. The Muslims, who were quiet all along, couldn't take it anymore. They had to fight back. A huge gang of Muslims, all donning black outfits, mounted the streets of Southport in masks, carrying every weapon they could find. They patiently waited for the far-right members, going from one location to another and keeping a keen eye for the opposition. Somehow they seemed to scare the far-right, as almost none of them crossed paths with the Islamic mob. One British citizen, a white, who argued with a Muslim protester outside a pub, was beaten by over 12 members of the mob. He was lucky enough to leave there with just bruises and probably a broken rib. The clash soon spread beyond the open environment, as the far-right leader, Tommy Robinson as he's called, started an online propaganda focused on exploitation and criticism of Muslims and Islamism as a religion. Other members of the extremist party, using aliases rather than their real names, also fueled the campaign online, using past terrorist attacks, religious issues, and the Southport shooting as reasons for the government to chase all Muslims out of the country. Tommy Robinson and the other far-right members went on to raise accusations against the UK government, stating that the Prime Minister and his cabinet are conspiring with the police to hide all details about the Southport shooter, to help the Muslims in their terrorist attack, and to groom Islamic authority and support. In other words, they claimed that the UK was partnering with Islamic countries like Iraq, Syria, and Pakistan at the expense of its own people. On his X account, Tommy Robinson told followers, "There's more evidence to suggest Islam is a mental health issue rather than a religion of peace." He also went further to add, "They're Muslims replacing the British nation with hostile, violent, aggressive migrants. Your children don't matter to the UK government." Tommy Robinson has been known for his controversial perspectives on politics and economies, but more importantly, on religion and ethnicity. He has openly expressed his hate for Muslims, stating that the UK government is only giving way for Islamic supremacy instead of supporting white nationalism. Despite multiple arrests, Tommy still remains a big name in the religious war in the UK, and his far-right followers only increase as the days go by. Do you think the UK government isn't doing enough in shunning his views? Let me know in the comment section. The retaliation of the Muslim protesters only made matters worse, as some of them took advantage of the riot to physically abuse some innocent whites who played no role in the struggle. They also trashed public property, destroyed cars, vehicles, and other facilities, giving Tommy Robinson and the far-right members enough reason to hold them responsible for a supposed terrorist attack on the UK. Seeing this, more British Christians got involved, sealing a deal to send Muslims out of England.
I'm here to save the kids. The children have been murdered. There's been a massacre on the street.
They got the targeting little white girls all over the country. Let's call a spade a spade.
It's like Russian roulette at this point. Which one's going to be next?
As it stands now, the religious conflict has surpassed mere reactions to the Southport shooting, and is now a struggle between Muslims who left their countries for safer grounds in England and whites who do not want any other religion other than Christianity in their motherland. Apparently, they don't even care whether the Muslims came in legally or illegally. They just want them out and out for good. England isn't Muslim. England is Christian. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you never miss an update. Make sure to also turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more exciting videos coming your way.